Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Toffee Blues and Late Night Show Extravaganza Extraordinaire. I don't have any more E-words to add to the end of that, but we are back. I'm your host, Forrest Londa. This is also your host, Quinn. I know I said it right that time.
Yeah, took you long enough.
And right. It's Kermit Shermity all over again. But we're back, and we are happy to be here, and we are tired. It's been a long week for both of us. Quinn, how have you been?
Yeah, been good. All things considered, good. Busy work week, but it's
Nice.
kickoff of college basketball season, which I'm not necessarily like super all about, but our organization I work for hosted a kickoff tournament. So we hosted 3D1 games, and I worked like 13 and a half hours straight on Monday, and feels like it's slowed down since then. So that's how I am.
I feel you. I have just been working a lot. It's been a busy week at the school, and not so busy of a week at a restaurant, but it's the Marine Corps birthday on Sunday, which is a big deal for my bar because it is a pretty military oriented bar. So it's going to be a very, very busy day for us. Speaking of college basketball, I was just looking at the Carolina-Kansas game. Jesus, Kansas jumped out in front. It was like a 2-point game. Now it's a 20-point game. What the heck?
Bummer, because Michigan State, go green, plays Kansas on Tuesday. And so I am not.
They're going to get their butts kicked because Kansas looked really good. But it's hard to tell anything early in the season in college basketball. So much can change. Well, we're not here to talk about college basketball. We're here to talk about talk about the Toffees. We're here to talk about Everton, and we can just get right into something that already happened 6 days ago. Not anything any of us are happy about, but we did lose to Southampton away in a very poor away performance. Quinn, do you have anything particular, anything that's been burning a hole in your chest that you'd like to say about that game?
I would like to say that I'm thankful that it is in some ways forgetful outside of the result. Like, it was awful that we lost. And I feel like it was, just awful. But it's over. It's done with. Feel like I've forgotten about it.
It's just like another one of those games in the Deitch. It's just like, oh, we could have won that, but we didn't.
Yeah.
And we never really were close. I was just watching back some of it just to kind of refresh my memory of it. And I got through a half hour of the first half. We had a couple of counterattacks that just didn't amount to anything.
That offside call, though, my goodness.
Oh, against Beto?
Just so close.
But look, we can't, at the end of the day, yes, like if that offside call hadn't happened and the goal counted and we went and had another 1-1 draw with a late Beto goal, it's still just papering over the cracks of what is a poor performance at the end of the day. We need to be in a position where we're not looking and I watch a lot. I listen to a lot of other Everton podcasts. The one I like in particular is the Blue Room, and they were speaking on it about how we are just kind of reliant on chaos at the end of the game. We're throwing Beto in and Keane up top.
Totally.
And it's kind of been what we're doing.
Yeah.
In late in games to try to make something happen, and it's honestly kind of embarrassing. We can kind of talk about Sean Dyche and his tactics for a while, but I think it's the same thing every week. It's hard to find new things to say because it's just the same frustrations every week. Very just disappointing that we don't show up against a team like Southampton who haven't won, and we go and gift a manager like Russell Martin his first Premier League win. I don't think he's a guy who's going to last the season at Southampton, and it's just frustrating that we sit there and just don't play a style of football that is becoming of this team. But regardless, we don't really need to talk about Southampton too much. Let's go ahead and move on to what is actually happening tomorrow, which is an away match in London at the London Stadium, the worst ground in England, to watch Everton and the Toffees play West Ham and the Hammers.
Have you been to that ground, Forrest?
To the London Stadium? No.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even get to go to the Upton Park, which would have been awesome because it's a very cool place from what I've heard. But no, have you? You've been there?
I have been. I went.
Why?
2 seasons ago, and I would concur with your statement of the worst stadium. Having been there, that's why I was curious because it felt like a football stadium with a track around it size, and it's
ridiculous.
Not for the sport, in my opinion.
Nope. And I don't know how West Ham fans put up with it, honestly. Losing such an iconic ground like Upton Park, and yes, they got it basically for free, and they have so much more seating capacity, and it's kind of elevated their status as a club a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's not a home they can be really proud of. We're not here to talk about the stadium, though.
No, I just was curious when you said it was the worst ground. I was like, I didn't know if you've been there.
I didn't need
I
to
have
go
been there, and I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been to St. Mary's, and that's pretty crap as well. It's just a big bowl. It's awful. It's a horrible stadium. I'm not trying to rag on Southampton as a club, but it's a bad stadium. Just soulless, boring, nothing. And I don't know if you've seen any of the videos of Bramley Moore. Oh, it looks good.
It looks so good. Oh my!
Oh man, they had some videos pitch side. I was like, whoa! Like
anytime Tony posts pictures that he takes in the new stadium, I'm like,
on it. It looks good. That is going to be an animal of a ground if we can become a good team again for sure.
I know.
All right, more stadium talk. We have West Ham tomorrow. A little background on West Ham. They're having what their supporters would say is a poor start to the season. 3 wins, 2 draws, 5 losses. They just got turned over by Nottingham Forest last week. Nottingham Forest, who were 3rd in the league, who were fighting relegation with us last season and have been able to turn it around.
So crazy.
By changing their manager and playing a little bit more of a progressive style and having a striker who's really hot in Chris Wood. But we're not here to talk about Nottingham Forest either. So the thing with West Ham tomorrow, they're missing a lot of key players. If you want to go down the list, it's Mohamed Kudus, former almost Everton player, Nicholas Fulkrug, I know how to say his name, Edson Alvarez, Thomas Suchek, Jared Bowen, and I don't remember the guy's full name, but Todibo, the center back. So they're missing a lot of key players. And when you look at it just on paper and look at it that way, you think, well, this is a game that we have a chance of winning. I don't know. I think it can go one of two ways. I think we could show up, have a half decent performance, and find a way to squeak 3 points out, and Deitch survives another week of criticism. Or I think that we could get totally turned over, lose 3-0 because we let West Ham have all the possession, and it's just more calls for Deitch's head. Quinn, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually currently looking at the difference between the stats for like the team statistics between the two teams for the season. And when we look, I
said she didn't come prepared.
I did come prepared. I'm of how similar our attacking statistics are, and yet how interesting looking at the defensive statistics are. So I think it could be a fairly even game, which I think most people would say. But when we sit back and let them have most of the possession, I think that's when it will get dangerous. But they have a ridiculous amount of yellow cards this season. 26. We have 16.
Well, that would be, Mohamed Kudus has been suspended for 5 games. Edson Alvarez has been suspended. Yes, they have an accumulation of yellow cards and a few red cards as well. I don't know if you put that on the manager not controlling his players, if you put it on the players not controlling themselves. But I don't know. It's hard to sit here and have like some detailed analysis about this game because it really just feels like anything could happen. There's so much uncertainty.
I think show up or not show up.
Right, exactly. It could be a really dull 0-0 game, which would be awful, honestly, because I'm going to the Guinness Brewery with my girlfriend tomorrow morning to watch that because it's what she wanted to do, and they're serving a full English breakfast. So
that's what she wanted to do. What a fun little date morning for you and Shannon.
I'm excited for it. Hey, don't talk to her. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, they're doing like a full English breakfast, so I'm really excited to see. Look, it's not going to be a full English if it doesn't have black pudding. If it doesn't have black pudding, I'm going to have to complain to management and be like, look, guys, I could name like 5 stores in this state where you can get black pudding. So why didn't you make
5 stores in the whole state?
That's not the point. There are stores. There are places out there you can get black pudding. So make the effort. If they have it, great. I'm ready for it. And then Shannon will have to try it. I'm going to make her try it. And they better have brown sauce as well. Jeez.
But if not, she can try some when we're over there.
Yeah. All right. So when we really look at this game, the question that comes to mind is, does it matter because Everton are shit?
But I'm thankful Jared Bowen's not playing. That's big.
Yes, Jared Bowen's not playing.
It feels like a little like he's just that player that balls out when he plays Everton, you know?
He balls out when he plays a lot of teams. He's a really good player, honestly. He's
True, but I just feel like
player.
every time we lose, not every, but most times, Jared Bowen is the name on the score sheet.
Jared Bowen, Dimitri Payet, yeah, Carlton Cole. I don't know. That's way back in the day, but still, like, yes, there's always those certain players that seem to have games against us. I'm just hoping that a penny will drop for Deitch a little bit here and that he does something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't really know what to say anymore. Like I would hope that he recognizes out of form players are out of form and put somebody else in place of them, i.e. Jared Brandthwaite in for, in my mind, Tarkowski based on form. If he wants to be a manager who plays players based on form, then you'd bring in Brandthwaite for Tarkowski because he's had a really rough start to the season. Yeah. I say start's been 10 games. He's had a rough season so far. I think it would be keeping Decore out of the team. I think Mangala and Gay have to start. I think they have a decent little midfield pairing going. I think Mangala was decent against Southampton. I think he distributed the ball well, which is something that Decore just cannot do. And it is something that we need in our midfield because Gay is more of the wrecking ball. I think that the big one for me is that Ndai needs to be played through the middle because he just needs to get more touches in the game. Look, in the first 30 minutes against Southampton, what I managed to just watch and kind of recollect some memory from is that he had a decent amount of touches. But what happens, and this is just the way Deitch wants the team to play, is that Ndai gets that ball out on the left, and then Lindstrom pushes to the right. Calvert-Lewin pushes to the right. He doesn't have the support he needs, and the expectation is that it's just going to be a ball that goes in, and there's 2 or 3 players that are going to be able to go for that. And when that doesn't happen, then Deitch's game plan isn't working. But that's because, first of all, Ndai he's a right-footed player. He's not going to go in and try to put in a cross with his left foot. He's a right-footed player. He needs to be in the middle where he has the space to make a decision to play a through ball. He needs to have players around him. We've talked about this multiple times on the podcast. It's not anything that we need to say again. I mean, he needs to have more players around him to play with. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have that. He's isolated. He gets frustrated. He tries to overplay. He gets himself into trouble. He gets double teamed and he gets taken out of the game. He gets subbed off in 60 minutes, which in my opinion is not his fault. It's the game. It's the game. It's the way we play. It does not suit him. And so we bring in Jack Harrison who can't do anything. It is what it is. And then am I blurry again?
It'll refocus. It's refocused.
And then yes, I refocus because I put it in. But and then for me, the big call this week, Beto starts.
Interesting.
I think it's time.
I am not opposed to the hot take. But I do think Calvert-Lewin will start. I do think he'll start. I would push more for Beto coming on earlier.
I mean, he came on in like 60 minutes last week, like 65 minutes.
I would hope that he comes in that window. That would be the window that I would put him in on. It's tough to take Dom out, but
I don't think so. Not based on his performances the past few weeks. I don't think he's done enough to warrant his place at the team. I think one of the issues is that we don't really give him the support he needs. It happened against Fulham. It has happened against Southampton. But I
think there's so much that's out of his control that makes his performances look poor the last few games. I don't think he's played at his best. Of course not. And I do think Beto has earned a spot, like a shot at the starting job.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I just don't think he will get it, honestly. That's where it comes down. I just don't think he'll get it. I think Dom will remain up front. I don't know what Sean Deitch thinks, whether he thinks that the second that Dom scores a goal, they will just come all of a sudden.
He scored some this season. He's scored a few. It's not like he hasn't scored. It's just look, there is a bigger problem here with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and to maybe an extent with Sean Deitch. And the bigger problem is that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is out of contract at the end of the season. And he's not exactly playing out of his mind to try to get a move somewhere else, it seems like.
He's only scored 2 goals this season.
It's what I'm saying. It's not like he's had this incredible scoring record. Since he's came back from injury, he's scored like 6 goals in 38 games. Like he's really just not been there. And it's not like he hasn't had chances. How many chances has he had this season where he should be scoring? He's had enough chances to have at least 8 or 9 goals this season. So I don't think there's any question that Dom is misfiring and not at his best form. I would agree that there are games, and especially against Fulham and especially against Southampton, where we have not played in a way that gets him involved in the game in great areas. He's basically just a defensive forward running forward and trying to find a way to get on the ball. It's frustrating. It's just what is this? Who sent me this? I saw that. Somebody sent this. There are overlords at the Toffee Blues, but it's frustrating that he keeps getting given chances. And I understand it's because he plays the role that Sean Dyche wants him to play. He plays that target man role and holds the ball up, and Beto can't really do that. I get it. Something has to change.
Do you think Beto's game of what he's done the last 2 weeks, which I think has been impactful, but the chaos of it and then throwing Michael Keane up there, do you think that's sustainable for 60 minutes or 70 minutes as the starter?
I think that it's been a long time since we've seen Beto have a chance to start.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he deserves the opportunity to start. I cannot say with a full confidence that would be totally sustainable for 60 to 70 minutes, but I will say that he at least deserves a chance. And honestly, when it comes down to it, we don't need to play the same way with him up top. That's kind of my thing. He doesn't need to be the target man. He doesn't need to be the complete forward. He needs to be the poacher. He needs to be the guy running under through balls because he is pace and power. He's awkward. He's not very graceful. He's like a baby deer sometimes, and he's stumbling over himself.
I feel like that's what we used to talk about Decore. He ran.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, but Beto, no, it's more like Nias, honestly. But Beto needs to be a guy that we're not playing the ball to get him to hold the ball up. We need to change our style of play. We need to not be lumping ball. If we are going to start Beto, it needs to be a change. It needs to be things in front of Beto and then for him to run behind. It does not to be playing a long ball for him to try to challenge, because we see it all the time. He cannot really win those balls in the air because he doesn't really know how. He doesn't understand that mental side of the game to win a ball in the air, to game a center back, to be able to win that ball, and then didn't have the ability to really keep it up. So if we could change the way we play, then I think we could find room for Beto to be a good player. I mean, look, he the way he played in Italy was getting onto balls.
I think he can score tons of goals. If we can change up the way in which we deliver balls to him, I do think he could score lots of goals.
Exactly, but that's kind of the point. But this becomes the Sean Dyche issue, and I'm going to just push this now. The continued Sean Dyche question is, can he change things? And honestly, he's had a full season and a half here. He had a full season with the team last year. Got through injuries, got through points deductions, and honestly, he had a good season, right? If you really look at what we were going through last year, he had an excellent season, keeping us up and keeping us up comfortably. But now it's the Premier League. Now it's the Premier League. This is the top level of football, and you will get found out if you do the same thing all the time. And we are doing the same thing every week. We are doing the same thing. Insanity. We are the definition of insanity, expecting something different to happen. I understand that, yes, we create some chances, but we're not scoring them. So then what's the issue? What's the issue then? Is it then what's the issue? Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not scoring the chance. So change Dom. Change the way you play a bit. Like, there has to be change. There has to be some cuteness. There has to be some ingenuity. There has to be some thought. And this becomes the issue with Sean Dyche. Is I don't think, and I said this earlier this year, maybe at the beginning of the season, maybe a little bit before, I don't think his heart is fully in this team and in this club right now. I think that he has one eye on the exit because he knows he's not going to be here at the end of the season. And I think even deeper down, he might know that once this takeover gets finalized, he might be out the door before the end of the season. And I don't think he's approaching these games in a way that is different. I don't think he's trying new things. I think he's sticking with what he knows,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas last season he was trying new things. Last year he was trying to like push Decore forward, push Decore back. Play Jack Harrison in the middle. He never played Dwight McNeil in the middle, but we just were trying different things. And he had Onana in midfield, and he was able to switch up the way we played that way. But it's just I'm going to levy this accusation at Sean Dyche because I see the way this team is set up. I saw the way that we were very apathetic against Southampton. That the players are there was a moment about 15 minutes in the first half, and Dye gets a ball on the left side. He can make a run. He's got the space, and he holds it up, turns, plays a slow pass midfield. It gets to Mikalenko. Mikalenko just hoofs the ball forward, and we lose possession. This is like that. It just can't. That's not sustainable over this season. It's not anymore. People know how we're going to play now. You can say that last year we were able to get away with it because, first of all, there were 3 teams way worse than us, which there probably are still this season.
Sure.
I'm not saying we're going to get dragged into some horrible relegation battle again. What I'm saying is that it's not progressive, that players aren't going to enjoy it. And players like Branthwaite, who we want to keep, even if maybe that's just not possible. But if we are not showing them that there's a way forward for this club to progress, then they're not going to want to stay. If we're not showing Dominic Calvert-Lewin that there's a way forward for this club to progress, he's not going to want to sign, whether we want him to sign a new contract or not. He's not going to sign a new contract. I've talked a lot. Talked to him.
No, I think all the way back to your very first question of like, can he change, or like, yeah, however you worded it, can he change things? I think the frustrating answer to me and my thoughts is yes, he can and he won't. Nice.
Dessert wine.
Cheers. I think Sean Dyche is totally capable of doing it, but is too stubborn. And part of that is like what you are saying is I do believe that there's an eye at the door of like, I'm not super bought in, but I do think he's capable of it. I don't think he's like, we are playing like Burnley football, like what he is known for, but I do think he's capable of switching tactics. Yes, amen.
Interesting way to look at that. But yes, continue, Quinn.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I do think he's capable of changing up tactics. I think he's too stubborn, and he won't. I think he is a stubborn. From everything that we've talked about that too. I think there are stubborn tendencies in how he has communicated to the media, how he communicates after games, the way in which teams are set up. The fact that Branthwaite isn't playing is crazy to me.
It's bringing up a lot of questions. Yeah.
And like so many people have said this week, all we're doing is diminishing his value. If this summer we fought so hard to not take anything less than 75 million and he sees the field for a third of the season, like, well, you're not going to get 75 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so it's so tough. Hopefully with a change of leadership at the top soon, that will change before the end of the season. However, who knows how many more weeks we're going to be sitting in this in-between phase where we can't just sit on our hands. Something needs to change. But I think that's why I said I don't know if Beto will start. I will be surprised tomorrow. I would love to see him get the start, but I will be surprised if his name is on the team sheet.
I understand that, and I get it, and I respect it. I think that a very good point was brought up about Branthwaite by Dom there. In my mind, if the only reason that Branthwaite is not starting is because he's not fit to Sean Dyche's ridiculous standards of Premier League fit, that's the only way that he is not starting. Because if he is fully fit, he starts every week in, week out. There's no reason not to put him out there. So it becomes, if he's not fully fit, why is Sean Dyche not saying that? Oh, he's not fully fit, he's not ready to start. Or is there something else behind the scenes? And that's the thing. That's what Don brings up, because when you don't start players like that, if he's not like fully fit, if you don't start players like that you're asking for 80 million, 75 million pounds for, then the question becomes, well, was there a falling out? Is he now refusing to play? The other questions start to get raised, and that unrest starts to come in with the fans. It starts to come in with the squad. Rumors start to circulate, and it just becomes a situation. Like, look, tomorrow, come 9 a.m., he could be on the team sheet, starting, and this question is done, and we don't need to ask it anymore. So it's kind of
it just continues to make it worse.
But right. If he's not, and he's on the bench, then that's the real issue. Because this has been brought up a few times since I ever started watching soccer in general. One thing I've heard is like, why are you going to put an injured player on the bench? And I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Why would you put an injured player on the bench and then bring him on? He's injured. He's not ready to play. He could hurt himself even more. So now it becomes, well, you put an injured player on the bench just because what? Because you didn't have any other option? That's ridiculous. I don't care. Is Mason Holgate still at the club? Put him on the bench. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to just put an injured player on the bench just because you're desperate to fill that role and get him back in the team. That doesn't seem like the Sean Dyche way. He took so long to bring Calvert-Lewin back into the squad. Why is he going to change face of what he does and put Branthwaite on the bench? So to me, it's like he either doesn't trust Branthwaite to come back in the team or has so much trust in Michael Keane's form and James Tarkowski as a captain that he isn't ready to upset that rotation, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's innate, and it is frustrating, and it's causing headaches. And it's hard to support Everton. It's hard. It is so hard to support them this season in particular so far, because there is so much more to be desired. And it feels like we are barely scraping one iota of the surface of the potential the squad actually has.
Yeah.
I think this squad could play a lot better. I think this squad could play progressive football. I believe there are players in the squad good enough to play that way, but they're not being coached. They're not being told to play that way. And because they're not being told or coached to play that way, they're being told and coached to play this inane backwards dinosaur football, then they're never going to be able to get anything out of their game. They're never going to be able to come and realize their full potential because they're being told their full potential is a relegation battle. And that's it. And it's just backwards. It's backwards.
Yeah.
Well, anything else to talk about with Sean Dyche or West Ham? I know we barely talked about West Ham. Just go ahead and give me a score prediction for West Ham, Everton. Just say it. 8-0, 2-1.
I'm trying to decide if we walk out of there with 1 goal and 1 point or no goals and 1 point.
Oh, so you think we'll get points regardless?
I think we'll get 1 point.
I could see a sneak in a 1-0 win. I could see it.
I could
That's
see
what I'd like.
It's like you said, it's really hard because this is a game where one team could totally not show up and it'd be a blowout either way.
Yep.
Or it's a really boring game, or it's a well fought, both teams show up and compete for a draw.
I don't expect that.
I don't either, but I'm just saying yeah.
Oh, and hey, Irvin, look, Sean Dyche had no idea how to use Amadou Onana. I don't think he's actually played particularly well for Villa this season. I think he's made a decent amount of mistakes for them because
I think he's made impact, though.
Yeah, exactly. He's made some impact, but it's because he's able to play in a way that befits him as a player. He's getting playing time in a role that befits him, in a position that befits him, and in a way that plays to his strengths and allows him to play to his strengths. That's the difference. And yes, Dyche had him on the bench because Dyche doesn't know how to play with the midfield. He just plays over the midfield. Yeah, you fear fear anybody in that West Ham team will have a day doing whatever the heck they want, man. Yeah, it's just whoever, and especially with Mikolenko being just having a really tough season as well. Mm-hmm. It kind of feels like there might be a number of players in the squad carrying some injuries. Tarkowski, Mikolenko, McNeil. It just feels like there's just something still not right. But we're going to go to our Q&A, and the first one deals directly with what we were talking about. What if we lose tomorrow? What if we lose tomorrow? If we don't show up, West Ham do the bare minimum to show up and beat us, which doesn't take much these days, and we lose. Is it time to sack him right away? No, I don't think because we can't, because I don't think we can.
Yeah, I don't think we can either. I don't think we will. It doesn't matter. Until the change of ownership, we have Sean Dyche. It's not, I don't believe it's happening.
100%. Yep. And honestly, as terms of an interim appointment, I mean, it's going to be who? I don't know. Leighton Baines.
Is Duncan
Tate.
Ferguson out of a job now? Isn't he out of a job?
Steve Wone. It's just
I have no idea.
It's I don't know. I would assume it'd be somebody like Paul Tate or Leighton Baines or someone. I'm not really sure, honestly, in terms of interim. Maybe Lee Carsley will come in for a couple months. I don't know. That's one our good friend Danny. Danny's really got some eggs in the Lee Carsley basket as Everton manager. I don't think he's there for me yet. He's never managed a club side either, which kind of speaks volumes. Yes, he's done great with England U21s, but yeah, I mean, if we lose, I think yes, as much as we'd all like to see Deitch go, it's not going to happen. We just need to kind of wait it out. We need to wait it out until the freaking deal is finalized, and then we can actually start talking about him going and start talking about. And again, my hope is that once it breaks in the media, this deal is about to be finalized. My hope is that a story or two breaks out about, well, they're talking to this guy. They have a plan in place for after Deitch. Like, that's my hope. I'm going to assume that Dan Freakin and the people he has around him who know football are smart enough to say, okay, we need to have a plan in place to replace this man. Even if it's not immediately, we need to have a plan in place. We need to be talking to people. We need to be ready, because when it happens, it needs to be quick. It can't be we're waiting 1 week, we're waiting 2 weeks, we're waiting like it was under Mashiri.
Yep.
It can't be waiting and dropping points and losing ground, because eventually the worst thing that we all fear is going to happen. We're going to get dragged into another relegation battle. It's going to be ridiculous, and it's not going to be where we deserve to be this season.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yep. This one. Do you think a majority of Evertons would be happy to see David Moyes return? If he did, no. Nope. Don't bring it back, Quinn. I already know your answer, Quinn.
Yeah, I love David Moyes, and you shouldn't go back to an ex.
No, don't bring him back. It could happen. It totally could. I don't think it will. I think the time where that really was a true option is past. And for good reason. I think he did a really good job at West Ham, and I'm sure if he came in, he would probably do a good job with us as well. I think he would do very well with this squad that we currently have, but I don't see the point. I think we need to be looking forward and not looking back, even if it means looking back for just a season or two. I think we need to be looking forward and finding the project manager that we need to be able to build a team around and build this club's culture around, because that's a big thing right now.
Yeah, even if it's like a holding thing, because that's what I've heard so many people talk about. Bring him in for 12 months, for 18 months, steady the ship, and then we'll bring somebody in. But it feels like a Band-Aid, because it's like
exactly. It just depends on where we're at as a club. And I guess we'll have to look at this from the financial standpoint too. If David Moyes is the option that fits us best financially, and we don't feel like we can go and get the manager we really need to yet to be able to back him in the way that he'll want to accept this project, because he'll be able to bring in the players he needs to be able to build the team, then okay, I could see a world and a reality where David Moyes comes in and he's here for a season and a half. I could see that. I don't think it happens though. I just don't see it.
I do think there's enough of a draw. I mean, gosh, I think we're all hoping that this ownership situation gets sorted soon, come the end of the season, and we finish the season in the league. Like, I think it's a huge draw to managers to open a season in a brand new, awesome stadium.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I mean,
Carlo could be out of a job soon.
Let's not talk about Carlo Ancelotti.
Hey, I love
he's going to go to West Ham. He's going to go to Newcastle. Don't even talk about Carlo Ancelotti right now.
Not, but he is probably out of a job soon. To be totally honest with that.
Yeah, Real Madrid are looking pretty awful right now. They haven't figured out how to use Mbappe yet. To be fair, well, this is an interesting question. If you could insert one Moyes Everton player, one Martinez Everton player into this team, who are they?
Rom.
That was easy. Of course, yeah, of course. Lukaku, come on, y'all. It's that easy. I'm kidding. I went Funes Mori. No, what am I talking about? Antolin Alcaraz.
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah. Romelu Lukaku. Stop it. It's not funny. Stephen Naismith. Royston Drenthe. Okay,
Stephen Naismith does not fit in the category of the last few people that we have named.
James McFadden.
Okay, Rom is my actual answer.
Gary Naismith. Rob, yes, okay. Well, that's your Martinez answer. What's
yes.
your Moyes answer?
I'm not given these questions beforehand, so let me just think on it.
I barely knew him.
You barely knew Moyes.
I barely knew you. Come on, who's your Moyes player? This should be easy. This should be easy. Come on.
I mean,
Come on, you know it.
who is yours?
Leighton Baines.
Sure.
Yeah.
In this time.
Yeah.
Steven Pienaar and Leighton Baines. Can we just have two?
Or Pienaar or Fellaini.
Put them together.
Lee Carsley maybe or Thomas Gravison.
Oh, I do love John
Stones. Oh, John Stones.
I love John Stones a lot.
John Stones and Jared Branthwaite together. Oh my gosh. That would be incredible. Best defense in the league. Yeah, Leighton Baines, Romelu Lukaku. That'd be awesome. Just be awesome. Be awesome. What's happening to us?
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh. All right. Would you replace McNeil with Decore? Move Skilliman. I hate that name for Ndai, by the way. I hate that name. Skilliman. I hate it. Into the center and play Lindstrom and Harrison on the wings. This is from Cedric Sterling. I had to edit it so that it was readable. I love the guy. No. I mean, unless McNeil's not fit, no. I really don't want Decore at all in this team. I only want him in the team before up 3-0. And even then, I'm still going to be scared. No.
If everybody's playing their best football, maybe.
Yeah, right. Exactly. When does that happen?
That's the hard part is that it's like, yeah.
I mean, truly, I think we should just drop McNeil and move Ndai into the middle. And then whatever, I'm just gonna be blurry. I don't even forget it. And then put Harrison and Lindstrom on the wings. That's what I think. I think we should have that as a front three, and just and move forward with that. Because my thing with Lindstrom is like he gets himself into some good positions, but he lets himself down with his touch and with his decision making. And I think to me,
he like hides in the team. He hides in the team sometimes.
Yes, he does. He's not involved. That's what I'm saying. But he's not involved because he doesn't have the confidence because he's not playing enough. You know, he needs like, I hope he starts tomorrow. So because I think he'll have a decent game if he starts tomorrow because he's like, okay, I have a second chance to right my wrongs. For a lot of players especially players who are true confidence players, and confidence is kind of what carries every player in football, especially at that level. Can you just I'm starting to get annoyed seeing myself. It got worse. Just give me a second. This is ridiculous.
Forrest is out. I think Lindstrom will start tomorrow. I don't know if you can even hear me, Forrest. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I do. I think the team will be the same as last week, except I do believe I have hope that Branthwaite does come in. So outside of that center back change, who he comes in for, I think it should be Tarky, but who knows?
Agreed. I do not. I think that Harrison will take Lindstrom's spot immediately because I think the only reason that Deitch even brought Lindstrom in was because Harrison had such a bad game against Fulham that he's like, I cannot play you. But I think he's like, but don't worry. If he doesn't score, you're going to get right back in. Harrison is one of those Deitch favorites. It's why he was the first player we signed this year. Because
he's a favorite, but I also do think there are times where Sean Deitch does play him as a quote super sub type situation where he's good off the bench.
Sure. But I think Lindstrom deserves a second chance. I think he deserves he's going to be here for the season, so he deserves another chance to come into the team, and it's early enough in the season where he can give him that chance without it being a life-threatening decision if it totally goes wrong on us. Especially against a team who's struggling and against a team who's missing a lot of important players. He should get the chance to come in and build some confidence and build some play with the team. Yeah. But I do think that I personally think that McNeil should be dropped. I know he's had a decent start to the season. I think we should be dropped so that Ndai can play in the middle. Ndai can play in the middle. He can get this opportunity to play with Harrison, with Lindstrom. Whether or not that, I mean, look, it's not going to happen. We know it's I'll sit here and say that it should happen, but it's not going to happen. But I don't want Decore anywhere close to this team, honestly. It's just no. He's regressed a bit as a footballer as well. This just doesn't seem to be a position for him where he can really excel anymore. He can't play that 10 because he doesn't have the technical ability. He can't play in midfield because he doesn't have the technical ability. or the positional ability. He does not. He just doesn't know where he needs to be in that midfield. So I just don't think there's a place in the team for him other than maybe as an impact sub, and even then, he's just not really that involved usually. And when he's involved, it's usually giving the ball away or making the wrong pass or having a bad time. It's not there for me. No, Jared back in, but Keane up top in place of Dom. It's not funny. It's just not funny. I don't want to talk about Michael Keane as striker anymore. Okay, it was funny when it happened against Fulham and we scored. It's not funny anymore.
And it wasn't necessarily funny when it happened again, as if it was going to be like this.
No, against South, it wasn't funny. It was just like, are you kidding me? He's doing this again. Like this joke that he should play up top as a striker because he scores some goals and he's a good finisher has become Sean Dyche.
The most lethal finishers in front of net.
That's great. I love that he's a great finisher. Yeah. Set pieces is where he belongs. Get him away from the top of that pitch. Last question.
No, I think that's harsh to say.
No, I don't think he's. If
you'd have asked me a year ago, I probably would have said yes, but
I think that he works his butt off. I think that he is a player who needs to have his strengths played to very directly, because I don't think he knows another way to play than just running onto through balls and trying to make the most of line chasing down lost situations. Because when you don't play to his strengths and you play to his weaknesses, it really shows, and he really looks like he has no strengths. So
I agree.
Okay. Oh,
sorry.
Yeah. Well, Quinn, do you have anything else to add? Any burning details or admittances that you would like to give to our audience today?
I admit that I'm the reason that we're not filming until Friday.
She is, actually. I wanted to do this on Sunday, fresh after the Southampton match, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's okay. If instead of a review, it became a preview, and that's okay.
It's true.
It's true. But hey, Nias could never do what Beto did scoring against Southampton. Nias could never in his life do that. Beto took that ball down like Dimitar Berbatov and Eric Cantona turned into one person and volleyed that thing, and like it was nothing. That was a great goal. And if he can do that over and over and over and over and over again, then maybe there's something in that man. But we just, I think he deserves to start. Lindstrom deserves to start. McNeil deserves to be dropped. Bring in Dye to the middle. Or heck, drop Lindstrom or drop Yo Mama. Who the heck am I talking about? Just put it in the middle, bro. Just put it in the middle. That's it. Just put him in the middle, man. Just do it, please. Please put him there. Yeah. It doesn't need to be this. Just move McNeil to the left and just and let him whip those balls in. Let him do you remember when I talked about the McNeil shuffle? When he's on the left, he just does that little thing where he's like, and he's it's the same move like 5 times in a row, and then he tries to cross it and it just hits the first man that's right next to him, just shuffling his feet with him. He's like, oh yeah, you can't trick me. You don't have a right foot. Like, it's fine, but you know what you can do is now you're dragging. You put Ndai in the middle. Now you drag that right back inside because Ndai's there and he has to help out. Now McNeil has the space to use that left foot to cross the ball.
Which on a good day he can do really well, and on a bad
day, most days he can do really well. Honestly, he's got a great left foot. The guy is great there. He doesn't need to be in the middle to take these phantom 25-yard shots because they just never happen. He never gets a chance to do it because other teams know, we can't let him shoot with his left foot, so they close him down, and he doesn't have the prerequisite. Yes, the Phil McNeil shuffle is a great way of putting it, just like the Phil Neville step. It's exactly that. It's 2 dance moves that you'll never get. They'll never get enough of. So okay, that's it. We're done. Thank you for the show, y'all. Sorry, it's like our worst one ever, but it's just, up the Toffees. 3 points tomorrow. Up the Toffees. Good night. Good luck. And don't ask us about the presidential election because we don't want to talk about it. All right.
Speak about it.
No, we don't want to talk about it. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. No outro video again. That was it.